Hey all, this is Xenoxis, and this is the Xenoxis show for the 15th of March 2023. So yeah, just had to check so the microphone was working properly, and it is. That's good. I only have 60 volume now because apparently last time when I recorded it got a lot louder, and I'm having some music on just so this won't turn off and stuff that, because I don't know if that can mess up the volume. Yeah. The song actually helps a lot, by the way, especially when you record with the other program and stuff that, when recording like gameplay. So you can still hear like the piece in those, at least, because the thing is I have to have the gain on the microphone for maximum for the voice to come out good, but then, for example, that makes it so that the computer sounds loud when the computer is not loud at all, you know, and stuff that, so yeah. Anyway, we're going to be covering more of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and stuff that, because of course I have gone into the comment section. I will of course post this again. I will post the vehicle tier list and stuff that. Now keep in mind, of course, when it comes to the vehicle tier list, for example, is that just counts all the stats together, basically what has the most stat in the game, pretty much, you know, and stuff that. And sure, there are like vehicles out there with negative stat, but it seems like when it shows the speed stat in the game, it only takes into account the ground speed, not the other speed. Because basically, if you count in all the other different speed sections, different vehicles are good at different stages, I would say. Because basically, if you're after winning on an anti-grav stage, then you need to change to an anti-grav vehicle, so on and so forth, and stuff like that. So yeah. I did go over the tier list, of course. We need to do that already in the actual, when we actually did the tier list last time, so yeah. And I don't know, maybe I need to make like a visual version of the tier list and stuff that I just posted in the comment track, where I just put them in the correct position, right, like carts and stuff that, so yeah. And I think I got most of the names right, except for that the what do you call it, the sneaker. The sneaker is actually not called sneaker in English. I think it was called sneaker, right, in Wii, in Mario Kart Wii. It's the shoe one, basically. It was called sneaker before, but now it's called bounder for some reason, which is, I don't know why call it bounder. That makes no sense, like when it's a shoe and stuff that, like, that's just weird. But yeah. Anyway, because I did make it like a part 6 and stuff that, which was with setups and stuff that I posted into the comments and stuff that. And then I posted like, best invisibility setup, best high speed setup and stuff that. And then of course the best setup, would be like, where do we have it? The best speed up would be Warrior Drive House 40 speed in English, 19.5 speed in Japan. MK8 Sports Coupe, that would have the 0.75 speed in Japan. Slim/Wood/Crimson Slib, that would have 0.25 speed. And a Super Glider, Wide Wing and Helium Kite with 0.25 speed. So that would be the highest speed stat that you could possibly reach. But the thing is, in-game, Mach 8 and the Sports Coupe doesn't show up as having the highest speed because they don't have the highest ground speed. Because that is what matter. And it seems that stat get weighted more for some reason, because there are definitely categories where Mach 8 wins. I think it's both air and anti-gravity, where nothing beats the Mach 8 and Sports Coupe. They are basically superior in the air and superior on anti-grav maps. But then, for example, if you're underwater, then Bone Rattler, Steel Diver, Tri-Speed is dominant. Because of course Steel Diver makes sense, right? Because it's... Although you could say that Landship should make sense, right? Because you're in water and stuff like that, but yeah. But the sub, of course, makes sense, but yeah. And of course, best acceleration setup was Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, Dry Bones, Light Me, which has 4.25 acceleration. And they are worth the most, basically, out of the characters on the tier list. That basically I tried to take what was highest up on the tier list that had the highest stat possible. So roller, a saw roller has 0.50 acceleration in Japan. Biddybuggy, Mr. Scooty has 0.75 acceleration in Japan, and a cloud glider / parachute, parasol is what I called it before, flower glider and paper glider has minus 0.25 on the acceleration stat, which means the total acceleration is 5.25. That is 20 acceleration in the English version, but yeah. But that is just because in the English version, yeah, in the English version, of course, the stats aren't buffed, but I don't think acceleration was a stat that they buffed anyway, because it was only like the mini turbo and the speed stats that got buffed, so yeah. So yeah, the speed stat is probably not correct then, you know, and stuff that, like saying that, oh, it's this amount in English, because it's not correct, of course. You know, I did go over like the best invisibility setup, which will be Baby Peach, Baby Daisy, which has 4.0 invol in Japanese, 6 invol in English. Badwagon and Mercedes GLA has 1.0 invol. Off-road and / retro off-road has 0.75 invol stat, and Super Glider, Waddle Wing and Helium Kite has minus 0.50, which translates into 1 invol stat. So that's actually negative invol stat. I went with category 1 since they won more in the tier section with the gliders. In total, 4.25 invol stat with the setup, with the Japanese stat, and 20 invol in English. So yeah. And then of course after that, I went over the, what is it? The high speed setup, blah blah blah. Best speed setup. Yeah, and then left now is handling traction, known as grip, I believe, and mini turbo, which I will write later, maybe even tomorrow, and that I wrote yesterday, I think it was. Maybe it was the day after that, or the day before that, but yeah. So those are the stats I have left to cover, but yeah. But then I made a pod 7 speed stat, how it seems to work in game, also how I would buff Circuit Special / B-Dasher, P-Wing, Badwagon, GLA and Standard Out-of-Air. I end up actually buffing more. So first off, it seems in game that Mach 8 and Sport Coupe does not end up being the highest speed, at least how it displays on the bars in game, I should say. In game. I'm guessing the way it works, it only takes ground speed into consideration when you select the vehicle / gliders. So there really should be a thing in game or something like that where you can switch, like, okay, like ground speed, water speed, air speed and stuff like that, like if you're going for a specific map, especially if you're doing like, you know, time trials and stuff like that, because yeah, with that being the case, that of course means that Circuit Special and B-Dash and P-Wing has 0.50 speed in Japanese. Badwagon, Mercedes GLA has also 0.50 speed, and Standard TV has 0.50 speed. So they are the fastest basically when it comes to ground and stuff. Sadly, of course, there is no way to see how much of a course is what percentage of a track, although there are, of course, like courses with 100% anti-grav course, or courses with a lot of water, or courses, I think I actually spelled that wrong, with those boost pad ramps that brings you into the air. Because of course tracks, you know, that have you a lot of time in the air, you definitely want to go with vehicles that are good in the air. But if you're on a track, for example, that's 100% gravity air, which is Baby Park, for example, then you would want to have a vehicle that is good on anti-grav sections. So of course okay, so since of course off the ground speed there is water, air, anti-grav in that order, I believe, of course, if you are going with pure water speed. The thing is that I think that is that order, because I think the order in the Japanese is the same as the on the English as well. In case it's the second stat, which I think it is, because Steel Dive, right, it makes sense, right, that the Steel Dive has a high water speed and stuff like that, so that's why I think the second stat is water. And I know that anti-grav is always the last of the speed stats. So in case it is the second stat, which it should be, it will mean Steel Diver, Tri-Speed, and Bone Rattler is the best with 0.50 water speed. If Air Speed is the third stat, then that means that it's the Mach 8 Sports Coupe and Inkstriker has 0.25 air speed. And Cat Cruiser / Biddybuggy and also Comet / Yoshi also has 0.25 air speed. So those are also good in the air. Then finally will be Anti-Gravity Speed, where again Mach 8 Sports Coupe Inkstriker wins with 0.50 Anti-Gravity Speed. Now I would buff the classes mentioned at the part name. First off, I would kind of split them off. Basically because usually, like before, the thing was in Mario Kart 8 a lot of vehicles were exactly at the same, like they were at the same thing. Oh, I didn't keep that file. I thought I kept like the OG Mario Kart 8 stats, but I did not do that, so yeah. But I could just go in and check them at some point, but yeah. So yeah, Circuit Special would have 0.50 speed in ground, water, air, and anti-grav. This would mean its total speed stat would be 2.0. The P-Wing and Bandwagon would remain at 0.50 speed in ground, however they would also now have a 0.25 speed in water, air, anti-grav, meaning the total speed stat would be 1.25 speed. B-Dash and Mercedes-Benz GLA would have the ground speed nerfed to 0.25, however they would have 0.25 in all the speed stats, air, water, anti-grav, meaning they would have a 1.0 speed stat total. Then finally would be the Standard ATV, which I would nerf its ground speed to 0.00 instead of the 0.50. However, the water, air, and anti-grav speed I would buff to 0.50. I mean, it's a terrain vehicle after all, so it makes sense to specialize on different kind of speeds would be good. I know that I kind of worded that really bad there. So yeah, so total speed stat would be 1.50 speed. But of course, the ground speed is only 0.0. So, but on tracks that has a lot of varied, you know, like it doesn't have a lot of ground, it has like a lot of varied, because there are tracks that basically has like a mix of water, air, and anti-grav. Those tracks actually do exist. Circuit Special would be, of course, the total speed 2.0, speed buff in all the speed stats, Standard ATV total speed 1.50, 0.0 ground speed nerf. Speed buff to water, air, anti-grav, P-Wing, Bandwagon, total speed 1.25, speed buff in water, air, and anti-grav, B-Dasher / Mercedes-Benz GLA, total speed 1.0, speed nerf in ground 0.25, what it has basically, speed buff to water, air, and anti-grav. I will not leave the Mach 8 and Sports Coupe. Sports Coupe. Yeah, Sports need some Coupe. Hanging, however, and would buff their ground speed to 0.25, and the Mach 8 would alone get 0.15 water speed, because it makes sense with how the shape is kind of for water and stuff that. So yeah, Mach 8 would now have a 0.25 ground speed, 0.50 water speed, 0.25 air speed, and 0.50 anti-gravity speed, making a total of 1.50 total speed. Sport Coupe would have a total of would have the 0.25 ground speed, 0.00 water speed, 0.25 air speed, and 0.50 anti-grav speed, making up the total of 1.0 speed. I will not leave the bikes hanging either. Normally, sports bike and jet bike have 0.25 ground speed and 0.0 in the other categories. So those are basically the only bikes with a positive stat, really. I would like to mention most other bikes have negative in speed stat. Varmint / City Trap has minus 1.50 speed. Mr. Scooty has minus 2 speed. Comet / Yoshi bike has minus 0.25 speed. Standard bike and Flame Rider has 0.25 speed. Motorcycle 0 has 0.00 speed. The Duke has 0.00 speed. Motorcycle also 0.00 speed. Bomber Rattler has minus 0.25 speed. Of course, in game as mentioned, only ground speed is shown. So these stats are like total and stuff that. Oh, I forgot to put it on repeat. There we go. Now it should be repeat. Right? Yeah. Because those are basically all the stats together on those and not just the ground stat. Anyway, Jetbike and Sportsbike would receive a buff to ground speed to 1.0, but the other speed stats would remain at 0.00. Because yeah, it was the Jetbike and the thing that has... Yeah, okay. Making its total speed stat 1.0, this would of course mean that on ground, a Jetbike and Sportsbike would be the fastest. They would be even faster than the Karts. And then I leave these here in case I need to access them. And that's like the character buff, the links to those and stuff like that. So the vehicle buffs, which is the mini turbo buffs, the tab buffs, which is the mini turbo buff, and then the character buffs, which is ground, water, air, and anti-gravity speed for every character, except for the heaviest ones that are after the light cruisers, which is the heavy class that they get buffed. And then mini turbo and stuff like that, which a lot of characters got buffed to, not all the categories, however, so yeah. So that's that. Right. So should we take a look then at the handling stats, so to speak? Alright, I could have just go down to the bottom and then we select vehicles. We select the vehicle. And then I think it's the next 4 right stats that is the stat that I was going to cover next, right? Oh. Left now is handling / traction. Right, because handling are the 4 next stats here. That is the handling, then it's the traction after that, and then it's the mini turbo. Right, another invisibility stat, but I've already covered the invisibility, so yeah. So this should be part 8 then, right? Part 8. Part 8. So handling and traction. No skip. Okay. Best or high handling setup. So that's the handling is in the same. Handling is in the same order as speed. So ground / water / air / anti-grav handling. Traction, grip, and mini turbo. So yeah. So handling is the same order as speed. So ground, water, air, anti-grav handling. Which of course probably means that they're gonna win the okay, so that's 0.50. Wait, I need to, because it's these 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 0.50 plus, so 0.50 plus 0.25 plus 0.50. So first I always do the whole calculating thing, so 0.75 handling for Biddybuggy and Mr. Scooty, because I know that I only need to check like the closer ones here. Oh, that one actually does have a minus, the next one, which is the Streetle. So handling Streetle and Landship, which has 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it has 0.25 plus 0.75, and then it will be plus 0, but that is a cost, not anything. So that's 1, and then minus 0.25, so 0.75 then, yeah, 0.75. 0.75 handling. Keep in mind these are the Japanese stats basically. So in Japan they actually do show like negative on the stats and stuff that. Right? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's actually pretty interesting. So that's pipe frame. Varmint and City Tripper. Yeah. Right, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, because then it's traction and then mini turbo K. 0.50, 0.50, that's 1 minus 0.75. I don't need a fucking calculator for this. That's 1 and then minus 0.25, so that's 0.75, and then plus another 0.25, so that has 1 in handling. 1 in handling. So yeah, so pipe frame Varmint and City Tripper is actually better than the that's actually better than the Streetle and the Landship in handling. Yeah, it's pretty crazy that the Biddybuggy and the Miss Scooty has so great of a handling. Okay, so next up is the Cat Cruiser Teddy Buggy Comet and Yoshi bike. Which is 0.50 in handling. So 0.50 handling. Yeah, there's no negatives so far in the handling stat actually. I mean, technically, like there has been some that has negative, like pipe frame and stuff that has like negative in pipe frame, and City Varmint and the thing had negative in air handling, and Landship and Streetle had negative in the Anti-Grav Handling. So yeah. Of course, and then we have the 0.50 handling for those. Then it's the the roadster thing. Or no, the silver arrow. Yeah. Mercy. Let's just call it V25 silver arrow instead of the whole Mercedes-Benz thing. Silver arrow. Standard bike. Standard bike. Flame Rider, and Wild. Wait there. Yeah, we're doing it live, buddy. Let's go. Okay, so that's 0.75. That's just simple. 0.25, 0.25, then it has a 0, and then it's 0.25, so 0.75. Handling. Yeah, Y25. That's actually pretty surprising though. Because the Y25 silver arrow looks like a pretty heavy vehicle, all things considered, so yeah. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, so there's the traction and there's the mini turbo. The thing is, of course, it was in the invisibility stat where they're separate. That's why they're separated like that. Because normally, like before the invisibility stat was, then all of these vehicles were together and stuff like that. So there were less categories basically at that point. Next up, of course, is the Mach 8. Mach 8 Sports Coupe and Inkstriker. Okay, this is gonna be curious here. Wait, is this correct? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the attraction, and then mini turbo which got boosted. So that means that it has minus 50 here, minus 50, and then it's plus 0.25. So minus 0.25, minus 0.25. Handling. That's our first minus. I mean, it's not that much minus, but it's not a 0 in stats. So yeah, so their handling is not that great. Oh, then it's an easy one. There are just 0 across the board here. There are actually 0 also in traction as well. So yeah. And that is of course the Mercedes, the 300 SL Roadster, I think it's called. Standard Kart and Duke. 0.00 handling. I could just say just 0 handling, but it makes more sense to do it that way. 0.00 handling. So yeah, it also has that in traction as well. And then of course we go down to the Tanooki Kart. Tanooki Kart, Koopa, Klown, and then Master Cycle 0. Master Cycle 0. Right, because that's a mini turbo, and that's the attraction, that's a mini turbo. Which has 0.75, yeah. That was just easy. 0.75. 0.75 handling, which again makes sense because of it's the Tanooki Kart and stuff that, which of course 1 in stats in total. So yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, pretty surprising though that it's still only 1 that has minus handling so far. But there's probably gonna come a lot more now. Next up is the Prancer. Prancer, sports bike and jet bike. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, it has 0.25 in one stat and minus 0.25 in another stat. Yeah. Yeah, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, right, and then it's traction and a minute ago. Okay, so it has a 0.00 in handling, which I mean it's not bad. That would actually be a plus in handling in the English. So the English is very misleading when it comes to the whole handling stat and stuff. That the fact that you can select those in game and then we show you as positive handling for whatever reason, I'm pretty certain, which is weird. So yeah, pretty surprising that there's only one thing that has negative on that stat so far. Then of course we have the Blue Falcon, Blue Falcon and the Splatbuggy, which do count as an ATV, I believe. Alright, so it's 4 stats. Oh wow, so this one is minus 0.25, then it's plus 0.25, so that makes it up to 0, and then minus 0.50, so then it goes down to 0.50, but then it's plus 0.50, so then it goes back to 0, so it ends up with 0 in handling. Well, so I mean it has some like okay, like it's like okay, it's like okay, it's minus on the ground. It's minus on the ground. It's positive in water. It's negative in the air, but it's positive on 0 on Anti-Grav for the Blue Falcon and the Splatbuggy. Then it goes, let's give it a correct name now, Bounder / Bounder Sneaker. I don't know why they changed the name into Bounder, that made no sense. Gold, Kart, and then Motorcycle. Okay, so it looks like this is going to be a 0 almost. No, minus 0.25 total. .25 handling. I mean, that's only the second with the negative handling. Yeah, oh, the Biddybuggy and Mr. Scooty is of course superiorly gonna win. Of course they are, but still it's very surprising that most things actually do have good handling. You know, which is not what you might think from in-game, you know, with the handling on certain vehicles. But maybe it's just that I like heavies and stuff like that, but yeah. So next up, of course, is the Steel Diver. Here's where I definitely think now for the final categories that we're going to go into negative stuff. Steel Diver, Try Speed, and then Bone Rattler. And I like to call this Bowser Bike because I think it's like a sequel to the Bowser Bike. But Bowser Bike is its own thing and it's not in the game. This one is going to be interesting though here, so... Okay, so this one has minus 5. I'm going to need on this one actually, because there's a bunch of minuses. Okay, so... And then plus that, right? Okay. Yeah, 0.75 minus 0.75 in handling on the Steel Diver and the Tri Speed and the Bone Rattler. No, wait. Alright, whoa. I thought I was looking at the wrong thing there. So because it has basically 0.50 minus on ground, 0.75 of course in water, so it's like really good in water. But then again, in air it's minus 0.50, and in anti-grav it's minus 0.50. But what I would do on the steel diver specifically, I would separate the steel diver from the other ones, because the other ones doesn't make any sense. But the steel diver should basically have even higher like speed in water, and even higher like handling in water, like, so that it's like a water specialist vehicle. So if your stage is majority water, then this should be just a superior vehicle and stuff that. So yeah, or maybe somehow just have it so that it's all it's just. Or maybe have it also so that its grip and mini turbo somehow gets, or the like the traction and the mini turbo also gets buffed like while it's in water or something like that. But yeah, of course now we have the circuit special B dasher. I don't think they have the same stats, right? B dasher and /P wing. I'm just checking here so that they don't have the same stats here in the things here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. No, they don't have. And they're gonna have massive negatives here. Yeah. Of course they are. Yeah, I hope you're ready for the negative trim, boys. Here are even worse negatives, so minus 0.50, minus 0.25. Actually, this should have been easy to calculate. Minus 0.75 again. And then finally minus 0.25. Which brings it to minus 1.75 handling. Yeah, that's pretty bad. And of course what I end up thinking is even worse, but it won't be by much. Bad wagon, bad gavon, bad wagon, bad gavon. That sounds like a car Gannon would drive. Standard ATV. Okay, are you ready for even more horrible stats? These are fucking crazy. Okay, so yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Minus 0.75, minus 0.25, minus 0.75, and minus 0.50. Minus 2.25. Minus 2.25 handling. Yeah, that's rough. That's like okay, like why? Because here's the thing, right? Okay, so you have like a 0.75, but then there's a big jump to 1. There's nothing that has like 1.50, 1.25, and so that's really weird. Like why the jump from the handling on the Biddybuggy Mrs. Scooty from 1.75, and then it jumps down to 1. And then after that, okay, it goes down to 0.75, 0.50, and then there's no 0.25. Then it jumps down from 1.50 to 0.0, which is okay, and then a small jump down to 0.25, and then another massive jump from minus 0.25 into minus 0.75, and then another massive jump by a whole point to minus 1.75, and then a pretty big jump to minus 2.25 in handling. And that's just like completely crazy. Like I would definitely say probably like the one in handling should like be buffed up to like, this is just my like my Xenoxis buffs. Above that to 1.50 handling in total. Right. And then basically second highest after that we have the above, of course, the 0. So this would get 1.25 handling. I'm just like suggesting some buffs here to what the handling stats should be in total. So basically buff the W25 arrow, the standard bike, the flame right down with the wild wiggler to 1.25 handling. Above the pipe frame, Varmint and city tripper to 1.50 handling from 1 handling, and the 0.75 handling to 1.25 handling in total. Then the other 0.75 handling, I wouldn't buff that as much because I don't want the Streetle and Landship to become like dominant. So those only get buffs to 1.0 handling, so that's still a handling buff for that in total. Biddybuggy miss Scooty, I would make that untouched. The 0.50 on the cat cruiser and stuff that I would actually buff up to 0.75 handling, so that would be again a small buff. This is just like Xenoxis buffs. I just mentioned that once there so that you know that what that means basically there. That okay, those are buffs basically. And then the ones that are like, alright, that one is also 0.75. Yeah, this would also get 1.25 handling for the Tanooki Kart and the stuff. Yeah, that would also get to 1.75 handling. Then we have the 0.00s. They would get buffed up to 0.50 handling. Maybe not all of them though. 0.50 handling. So let's copy that to all the zeros here. 0.50 handling. Yeah. And on the minus 0.25. Those we buff up to 0.25 handling. And there's another minus 0.25. So they get buffed up to 0.75 handling. Now of course the ones that are super massive negative, like now the things that are left now is the like the 0.75 handling. That would of course not get buffed up to 0 handling or whatever 0 handling. But instead would get buffed up to minus 0.25 handling. So the Steel Diver, High Speed Bone Rattler would get buffed up to the same handling as the Bounders slash Sneaker Gold Kart Master Cycle, which is also what the Mach 8 Sports Coupe and Inkstriker had in handling. So that's what it would get buffed up to. And of course the other massive negative, which is the Circuit Special, the B-Dash and the P-Wing, which has 0.75 minus handling, that would get buffed to minus 1.00 handling, so it would still be a pretty big jump from minus 0.25 handling to minus 1 handling. And of course minus 1.50 handling for the bad wagon, yearly and standardly. So that would still mean, okay, of course they still have the massive negatives, but the big negatives wouldn't be as big and stuff that, and the other ones are brought back or brought up anyway. Because I think that would definitely help for like 200cc, because you can definitely tell that the Mario Kart stages, most of them are not made for 200cc. You can kind of tell though that there are actually tour maps where you don't, there are certain maps where you don't actually need to brake even on 200cc, which is pretty crazy. Those stages do actually exist, and those stages are really what maybe the next Mario Kart or the next update or whatever. Because yeah, I definitely think the Mario Kart 8 could continue on forever, because one thing they could do, for example, is like specific cups that are like an entire game. That okay, like this cup is or these cups here, like new DLC Super Mario Kart cups, and basically it would put all the Super Mario Kart tracks together. So the tracks that are already in the game, that are already Super Mario Kart, those would be part of those DLC, so those would just be an old track. But they would basically take every single track that's from the original Super Mario Kart game and put it into the game with the graphics and stuff that, so yeah. And of course those DLC would have to be like more expensive and stuff that, because that would be like several caps probably and stuff that. Same thing they could do with the Nintendo 64 Mario Kart, and they could do it with the GameCube one as well. I don't know about the portable ones, how many stages those have, how much is missing and stuff that, but that is, you know, if they wanna continue on Mario Kart 8 on like the next system. Because I definitely think that if they continuously update the graphics, and here's the thing, right, like, okay, they don't need to put it in a new engine, but they definitely probably could. Like, imagine, right, if they bring all the levels, like for example, the spectators on certain levels are just like cardboard cutouts rather than be full 3D. Imagine if those are full 3D, and the Thor maps are brought up graphically with how they look and stuff that, so they look more advanced and stuff that. You know, and it depends, of course, like, imagine, right, if the next Switch makes it so that it goes up to 1440p or 4K or whatever, you know, and stuff that, and then it looks like a lot better, like it looks more next gen, so to speak, you know, and stuff that, you know, and maybe there's like ray tracing even and stuff that, like, it would just make it so that, yeah, it would look like a Mario Kart 9, but it would still be Mario Kart 8, but with so many new stages and stuff that, like, especially if they made it, like, imagine like all the Super Mario Kart stages. There are already some in-game, of course, and stuff that are already in-game, you know, and stuff that, but yeah. So the handling, so, of course, 1.75 handling for Biddybuggy, Mr. Scooty, best handling, and like, yeah, it's not even close and stuff that, but yeah, right. Do we have the text? We do have the text. Entire buffs. And I would need to go with the characters as well. Although on the characters I think it's pretty simple. Okay. Right, because I think again, right, that yeah, the Slick and Cyberstick is just minus on the stats. Same thing with the metal and gold tires. Yeah, Slim, Wooden Crimson Slim actually is pretty surprising here with the handling. They actually have 0.75 in handling actually on the Slim, Wooden Crimson Slim. That's actually pretty impressive. That's actually better handling than the cushion and the spoons. which actually have negative handling for whatever weird reason. That's weird. 0.25, 0.25, 0.25 on awful stats, so that's like 1 in stat then, yeah. So roller and also roller wins, just automatically, yeah. Roller, Azure, roller, 1.00 handling. I need to mention that other thing also there. Right, where are they? Slim, wooden crimson slim. Slim, wooden crimson slim. I need to mention that they are very good. Because I mean that's pretty impressive, right? That it's like, yeah, because that's the traction and that's the mini turbo stat. So then it's 0.25 plus 0.25 plus 0.25 and then it's a 0, which means that they have 0.25 handling. Yeah, and it's pretty weird, right? Like cushion, for example. Cushion and sponge has negative in handling. Leaf tires and button, of course, ends up having a 0.00 in handling. So you're not that great either. Of course, same thing with GLA standard and blue standard. They have 0.00 in handling. Monster, hot monster and ancient tires. The weird thing is, right, you would imagine, right, okay, these are great off-road tires. But they are literally negative in every single handling stat. So why should these big, like off-road like tires be like that? Same thing with off-road, retro off-road and Triforce tires. Minus in all of the handling stats. Like it's weird. You know, stuff that, so yeah. Same thing with the course metal and gold tires. Negative on all the stats. And of course same for the slick and the cyber slicks and stuff that, so yeah. Because otherwise the next jump is from the 0 point, like the 0.75 handling to 0 handling. So yeah. So those are the only things worth considering when it comes to handling. And actually if you count in the mini turbo, the slim wooden crimson slim of course has 0 in my mini turbo, while the roller and also roller still has the 0.75 in mini turbo. Right, and characters. I might not go over the glider now though, because the glider is going to take longer, because then you have to calculate also what the stats mean exactly. Sing song, ding dong, sing a song, or sing a dingy dong, sing song. Dongy dingy dong, dongy dingy dong, dongy dingy dong, dongy dingy dong dong, or dingy dingy dong. Right, because they have 3 5s in stats, and then now 4.50. Yeah, it's just Federer just has superiority on traction. They used to win superiorly there, I think. It's like 100%, it's not like even close. So it's Federer, and then it's Baby Peach and Daisy Slash. And they have, how much is that? That is... so that's so 19.50 in handling. Yeah, 19.50 handling, and none of the other ones come close. Right, there isn't one that has like a weird handling. The only thing, of course, no one has like negative handling, to be honest. Yeah. And I'm just checking here so that it isn't something that is like Omega surprise with their handling and stuff that. I just want to check how far the Federals are away from the thing. So the Federals have 4.75 plus 4.25 plus 4.75 plus 4.75. So that's 18.5. 18.54 handling for Federals. Federals. So that's Bobby, Rosalina, and Lemmy. Koopa. You can just call it Lemmy, but yeah. So they have 18.5, and then basically the next one after that is like 4.50 plus 4 plus 4.50 plus 4.50. So not that far after. And after that it's 4.54, 4.50, 4.50, so they have the same. So it's the light and the super lights, they have exactly the same handling, which is pretty impressive. And of course we have the so-called bad super light alts, bad with the like total stat. They have 4.25, 3.75, 4.25, 4.25. But that is the same as the Speedy has in handling. So yeah. So basically you want to have like the lighter the character used, the better pretty much. So light, super light alt, speedy, light welters, you always want to go with the lighter ones to have high stats in handling. That's basically how it works. Like lighter ones have more handling and stuff like that, so yeah. Okay. And then skipping gliders for now. So best setup is Biddybuggy slash Mr. Scooty, roller slash Azure roller, and Baby Peach slash Baby Daisy. Those give you the most handling. Best setup, handling, and in English it's 1.75 plus 1.0 plus 19.50, and that's without the glider, so 22.25 handling total without the glider. So that's the handling stat. In Japanese, basically, this will be a way higher handling stat in the English version, but yeah. So that it's the handling stat on that. Then of course traction is going to be really quick here. High best setup traction, because it's just going to be like just look at one stat and then it's just like a done. So that because traction is the second to thing here. So it's 0.25 on Biddybuggy and Miss Scooty on the traction. It's 0.75 on the Landship and the Streetle. Is there anything that beats that? Yes, there is. There is one with 1.0 in traction. Okay, so those are the winners. Yes, okay, so 1.00 traction. And that is the Tanooki, Kart, Koopa, Klown, and then Motorcycle 0. And then within parentheses I take the... actually, funny fact, the Badwagon, the GLA, and the Stand RTV actually has 0.50 in handling, so it doesn't have negative handling. Or traction, I mean. That's actually pretty impressive. Of course, 0.75 is the second highest, which I think I need to mention just 0.75 traction, which is Streetle and Landship. Okay, and the tires, right? Tires, that's actually minus in traction on both roll, lasso, roller, leaf and button, also negative in traction. Cushion and sponge has 0.25 in handling. Monster, Hot Monster and Ancient Tires has 0.50 in traction. Okay, so those are the best. Yeah. And then cushion and sponge. Of course, retro off-road, retro off-road, and Travel's Tires has 0.25 in traction. But yeah, other than that, the cushion and sponge goes with 0.25. So yeah, so it's just, yeah, it's easy. So it's Monster. So it's Monster, Hot Monster, which is Funky Monster, and slash Ancient Tire, and those were 0.50 right traction. Yeah, 0.50 in traction. And of course there's the, I need to mention that. I need to mention the alternative ones always. So cushion, sponge, that's basically one category, but I'm going to put them all together here because they all have the same, they all have the 0.25 there. And then if we do it like that, off road slash retro off. No retro, and then off slash road, and then Triforce tires, and these have so 0.25 traction. It's just that I give some alternative there as well. Because the thing is that Monster and Hot Monster and Ancient Tires, for example, they have pretty bad stats in the other things. And Cushion and Sponge has less worse stats. Same thing with Off-Road, Red Off-Road, and Triforce Tire has less worse stats. So yeah, so that's something you have to think about. Right, and that's all the pieces. Right, except for the character. Okay. So 4.25 seems to be the highest in traction. 4.25 is the highest in traction. 4.25 traction, which is feather, and there was another one that has 4.25, and that's super light. Slash super light. Yeah, both of them has 4.25. So that's again Baby Peach and Baby Daisy. And then also Koopa, Troopa, Lakitu, and Bowser Jr. Those are the best at 4.25. Then there's a bunch at 4 as well. Should we mention the ones at 4? Yeah, we should. Keep in mind, actually, fun fact, that traction-wise, light cruisers have 3.75 in traction, which matches both the welter and the light welters in the medium class with their traction. Which is pretty surprisingly, because Luigi actually has pretty bad traction. Medium alts, they have only 3.25 in traction, which is weird. Funny thing is, both metal and heavy has 3.25 in handling as well, so yeah. So there are some 4s there. Feather alts is actually pretty funny, they only have 3.75 in traction, so yeah. I need to go over also the alternatives, as I said. And the alternatives is, of course, light, so it's like what, 4.0? Yeah, 4.00 subtraction. 4.00 traction, which belongs to light and speedy. Yes, light and speedy has it. And then of course the next step after that is 3.75, which again, by the way, light cruisers actually match. So that's basically light and speedy. Yeah. Light and speedy, which translates it into being Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, Dry Bones, Light Me, or Small Me, I guess. Small Me. Actually, it's Light Me. Because it has to do with the weight, because the height of them doesn't matter. Right, and then it's Toad, Shy Guy, and then Larry Koopa. Why do I do that? I cannot put parentheses in parentheses. There we go. Okay, so 4.0. And I'm mentioning this here at the best setup here. So 3.75 traction for feather. I'm not going to mention their names here. Feather alts has 3.75. Light. Light welters and slash welterite, yeah. Yeah, 3.75 on both. And then light cruisers. I'm just mentioning that at 3.75 traction for federals, light welters, and regular welters. Right, yeah, regular welter. And I'm gonna say what it means. That it means it's Baby Rosalina, Lemmy, Cat Peach, female Inkling, and female Villager, and then it's Princess Peach, Princess Daisy, Yoshi, and Birdo, and then in the light cruisers, which of course is a heavy class, it's Rosalina, King Boo, and Link. So that's why you see them quite a lot, because the traction is actually not that bad. Because that needs to be mentioned that they have 3.75 in the traction stat. Which, by the way, the worst traction stats is 3.0 is what the worst traction stat is, and that belongs to the cruiser and the super heavy. So yeah. And of course, finally we have the so that's basically the best setup for traction. So yeah, it's 4.25 traction, pretty much. So yeah, so that is 4.25. I need to kind of do that because the microphone is kind of blocking the view there. That's why I had to go with that with head. So 4.25 for the character. I should just make a space there so it's easier to go. So we know that, okay, this is the characters. 4.25 plus 1 plus 0.50. Okay, so 5.75 then. 5.75 traction total without the glider. So yeah, so traction stat of course doesn't go as high as handling stat does and stuff that. But yeah, but in terms of traction, like I mean, like you have quite a lot of choices for the old traction, with it being 4.25 and stuff that, like you have a lot of options with the traction. And then even the second worst isn't that much worse in traction. Same thing with the vehicles as well, and same thing kind of with the tires as well. So that is pretty decent. Then of course finally we have the best okay, best setup mini turbo. So that we have to think about buffed mini turbos as well. But I'm pretty certain, yeah, it just wins. Biddybuggy, Mr. Scooty, and even though it's not buffed, it has 0.75 mini turbo, but I need to mention the 0.50 mini turbo. And I mentioned this below here. And then let's go with the list here with the 0.50 here, which is Streetle, Landship, Streetle, Landship, Pipe, Frame, Varmint, City, Tripper, Cat, Cruiser, Teddy, Buggy, Comet / Yoshi, Bike. So basically, I need to mention that within parentheses here that actually let's do this. Let's put them below here. Buffed mini turbo to 1.50 from 0.25. Yeah, because that's what they used to have. They got buffed. And then there's been other ones that have gotten buffed to 0.25 mini turbo that didn't used to have it, and several ones that were buffed up to 0 mini turbo. They used to have negative stat before, which is a big amount. And then of course basically all the bottom ones have been buffed by 0.25 mini turbo. So yeah, so the worst one used to have -1 in mini turbo, and they now have -0.75. So that's all the mini turbos are basically better on all the vehicles. So that, and it's a big deal the fact that the ones that were 0 got buffed up to 0.25, and then ones that were negative got buffed up to 0. So yeah, because I think that needs to be mentioned that those specifically were buffed up, which is what makes them viable now and stuff. That, so yeah. Right, and then I think on the tires is the same deal. Yes, it is the same deal. With roller / that is a bit hard to see here. So roller, so 0.75 mini turbo. Again, they are superior, but again, I need to mention here. I need to mention down below here the 0.50 mini turbo, and first I mentioned the ones that weren't buffed: leaf tires and button. But then down below is everything that is buffed to 0.50, which is actually one set of tires that got buffed up to 0.50. And that's cushion and sponge buffed to 0.50 mini turbo from 0.25. And of course the GLA standard and blue standard, they got buffed from 0 to 0.25. Slim Mood Crimson Steam got buffed from negative. Monster, Hot Monster, Ancient Tires got buffed up from negative to 0. And then of course the mini turbos on Slack Slick Cyberseek Cold Tires Metal went from minus 0.75 to minus 0.50. And off-road, retro off-road and traffic tire almost got out of the negative stat. They had 0.50 before, but now have 0.25. So yeah. So the mini turbo is actually a big deal, because that means that there's less negative on the tires and stuff that. And then of course on the mini turbo stat is interesting here though, because it's a lot now that has 4.0, so it's like, yeah, so it's 4.00 mini turbo, which is feather alts light buffed from 3.75, because it's always a minus, or it's always the plus the 0.25 buff. Right? Yeah, those are the ones. music so that it's not some weird kind of... Okay. Okay. So that means that it's... further alts, yeah? And then lights. And then light me. Those of course got buffed up to 4.0 mini turbo. Yeah, buffed from 3.75. Then of course after that the second highest is of course 3.75, which belongs to Superlight. Superlight alts, Speedy, Welter. And yeah, and then of course there were several ones that got buffed to 3.50. The ones that got buffed to 3.50 that weren't it before were medium and medium alts. Welter alts and light welters remain at 3.50 by the way, so yeah. And then of course the only good mini turbo stat on the heavies are kind of the light cruisers with 3.75. Then it's 3.0 for both metal and cruiser. And then heavies has only 2.75, so yeah. So yeah. So that's pretty much what you want to go for that. So time to calculate then. So best setup then is summary, Biddybuggy, Mr. Scooty, roller slash Azure, roller, and right on the character there's a lot. So I need to kind of make that look better. I put them all together here though, just so it's easier. So you have a lot of characters to choose between, and that of course gives you a total of what is it? It's 0.75 mini turbo plus 0.75 mini turbo on the roller, Azure roller, and then we have the 4.0 mini turbo on the character, yeah. So it's 4.5 down. No, because it's 1.5 plus 4, so it's 5.5. 5.5 mini turbo total without the glider. Now we can look on the glider here, but keep in mind the glider is going to be in English stat, so I'm not going to translate it yet though. Han är min lilla gris, min lilla gris, han gillar lite nuff. När du ser han onkar som en... Han onkar som en... Onkar som en nuff, onkar som... So right, so category 2 wins the on the mini turbo. I mean, there are 2 categories that win, but we know that has the highest. So 2 mini turbo, which I think translates into minus, so 0.75 in Japanese stats. Because basically, because 3, I've already said that 3 is 0 and 4 is 1. So for like mini turbo something means that it's 1, and a 0 means that it's, or like a 3 means that it's 0, and a 2 then should means that it's minus 0.75, and then a 1 should mean, no, it should be minus 0.25. Yeah, because it's like, because 3 is 0, 2 should be minus 2.5, and then 1 should just be minus 50. But it's dependent, of course, on the mini turbo stat, because on certain things you will notice that the number would be way higher, even on something that is like, you know, because this doesn't always translate that way. So yeah. So that would be the cloud glider slash parachute, which is the one that I called the thing flower glider. And then what, paper? Yeah, that's the Animal Crossing thing. Paper glider. I'll call it the Animal Crossing, because I think it's always Animal Crossing on it, right? Yeah, the paper glider. So that would mean that it has 5.25 mini turbo with glider. Okay, so with traction, go up to traction stat, go up to traction stat. Okay, there's the mini turbo. There's the traction stat again. Okay, best gliders have only say 1 in traction, 1.00 traction, which again should be minus 0.50 in Japanese stats. If they translate over that way, they might not, of course. So that's again belongs to Super Glider and Weather Wing and stuff like that, but it also belongs to the Cloud Glider, so again the Cloud Glider will win. So it's Cloud Glider. Yeah, yes, just copy and paste that instead. Okay, so that means that total traction will be 5.25 traction with glider. Yeah, 5.25 with glider. So we have gone over the mini turbo stat. Yeah, we have gone over the traction. And now the handling. Right, so 3 in handling, 2, 3, 4 in handling. So that belongs to the second category and the fourth category, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, there's 2 ones that has 4 in handling in total. So 4, 4.0 traction total, 4.0 traction total, which is again the which again is that that means that it has 4 traction total, and 4 we already said that translates into that's 1, right, in Japanese, right? We said, yeah, because it's like 3 0 and 4 is 1, so 1.00 in Japanese. So that means that it has 6.25 traction What? No, it's handling alla. The wrong freaking section. No? I already calculated the traction. It being 1.0. Huh? Wait. No, that's the traction. This is the handling. Blah, blah. Wait, where is the... handling total. Can you do this? Yoink! And put it up here. Here we go. Meaning that it's 23.25 handling total with glider. So yeah. Right. Yeah, because it's like 4 on that. Yeah, 2, 3, 4. And then it's of course 4 also on the final category. But yeah. So those are the final ones. Right, so now we have the best summary both for summary, menu, turbo, best setup. So you have the best mini turbo setup. So that would be Biddybuggy, Mrs. Scooty, Roller, Soul Roller, Baby Peach, Baby Daisy, Baby Rosalina, Lemmy Koopa, Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, Dry Bones, or Light Me. And then Cloud Glider, Parachute, Flower Glider, Paper Glider, which is the one with the Animal Crossing on it. For a lot of the characters at least. That's the mini turbo stat. And best traction stat is going for... best traction is the 4.25 in traction, which is super... which is Baby Peach, Baby Daisy, Koopa Troopa, Lucky 2, and Bowser Jr. And then Tanooki, Kart, Koopa, Klown, or Master Cycle 0. And then it's Monster and Hot Monster, Funky Monster / Ancient Tires for the highest traction there. And then it's again the Cloud Glider, Parachute, Flow Glider, and Paper Glider that has the highest traction. And then the best setup for handling is Biddybuggy, Mr. Scooty, / Roller, Show Roller, Baby Peach, or Baby Daisy. And then the same gliders again: a Cloud Glider, Parachute, Flower Glider, and Paper Glider. So yeah. So right, so that was all the remaining things. That was all the remaining stats. Yeah. See, I mean, it's just like, yeah, you just want to go light if you want to go with mini turbo, or like, but yeah. But I think it's worth mentioning there, as I said, with the mini turbo stat, that it's just like a lot of, like when it comes to the mini turbo stat, like there's a lot of pretty good ones. And the fact that a lot of stuff has been buffed in terms of the mini turbo actually matters quite a lot. I was gonna do another video as well, but we might actually do that tomorrow then instead, or in a few days, because because I've been wanting to talk about the thing. So that's probably expensive because it's probably a real Formula car. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's part of a Formula 1 car there, which is the most expensive. Or Max Verstappen or Sergio Perez. They're over 1 million Swedish kronor, which is based on the Red Bull Racing RB18. I mean, basically, you get to sit down in like an F1 car that's basically like cut off and stuff that. So yeah, it's like really pretty insane. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Or Superman Legacy, that's the animated one. But it's probably gonna be crap, right? But wait, James Gunn, didn't he make the... I forgot what he had done previously. I mean, you never trust Hollywood with anything, because it's just like, let's just make this character blah 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 or whatever, Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna save this text now. Yes. And we have done 1 hour 38 minutes now. And now the text is pretty much done. Yeah, the text for the part 7. Or like, I mean, part 8 really. Which, I mean, that should probably all fit in the description, hopefully, and stuff that, because it doesn't feel like it's that long, really, to be honest. Oh, I really need to piss. Anyway, drinking from the Batman mug again. Yeah, sadly, in the bottom it's really hard to see the DC and the Warner Browsing license, but yeah, this mug has been so good. It's insane to think about how long I've had this mug, really, to be honest. And stuff like that, but yeah. Yeah, actually, let's turn off the music now. So yeah, so gonna put those away, so yeah. I don't know why my hair is like it's always here in the middle where I can't get the hair to be like, and stuff like that, but yeah. But yeah, so next time when we record, I'm thinking about talking about the demo and stuff like that, because yeah, the demo is actually really, really good. Although I'm a bit worried, right, because I always said, like, in the second remake and in the third remake, they have just made aiming so much worse. And shooting with the guns and stuff there, because maybe it's like, oh, this is realistically how guns work. And then it's like, oh, you can miss something point blank, basically. Or at least in RE2, basically, because, oh, the aiming sight needs to blah, 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 so... And then it feels like, okay, so in RE4 Remake, it will literally be not about shooting them in the head and stunning them or trying to do melee moves. It will just be like, panic shooting, bam, 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 bam. Rather than, you know, doing the other thing. That's just what it feels like. Now, of course, there is like aim assist that you can activate on, and you can activate how strong it is. But I think also it has to do with the aim sensitivity, that it's just very, very low in the game so far. And it also seems that even if you go with very, 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 very high field of view, if you select like high field of view, it even seems then that it's very, very zoomed in when you shoot, which feels weird. It doesn't feel bad, the aiming, right? It's just that the fact that, oh, sometimes you miss targets even when they're close and stuff. That, yeah, sure they could dodge in the original game as well, you know, but it feels like pretty weird. The interesting thing though is, it seems like that's final, that they've already decided to do this, is with the weapons. There are like only 3 upgrades now, levels on each stat. And that seems to be something that they go for. So that means, of course, that the stats of the weapons, if they match the original, of course, there's probably going to be buffs as well, but this means that it seems that certain guns already start out stronger. Because the shotgun, which very clearly is unupgraded, the shotgun that you get, that one actually starts with a higher attack power than it did in the vanilla game. Because I'm pretty certain that the shotgun started with a 4.0, and it's like 5. I think it's 5.2 or 5.6 in the demo. Of course, this can be subject to change, but if it is only like 3 upgrades, right? Yeah, sure, you will probably gain a lot more money this time around and stuff that. And maybe it's meant to be like, oh, you're meant to upgrade a lot of weapons, so maybe it's easier to gain money than ever before. And this is because I think it's also the fact that they figure out that most people, depending on how they go through the game, some people are like immediately thinking about, okay, Chicago typewriter cost like 1 million, and then they just get that gun, and then it's like just easy farming up all the other cash and stuff like that. But then here it seems like you will have like an item box, or technically not an item box, it's more like how it works a bit in 5, almost, except in 5, right, for each chapter, right, or when you go into the next chapter or whatever, you know, right. It's always the whole screen, the preparation screen, and then you have an inventory there, and that's where you sell treasures. And this is the way it seems to work at the merchant, not as a save point, but at the merchant. When you're at the merchant, you can basically take away guns from your attaché case, and that's also where you seem to customize your attaché case with the whole attachments. So there are attachments, basically charms, and these charms can have like positive effects. So the pre-order charms is of course the green herb one, and the handgun ammo. I'm guessing the handgun ammo will make you have like the, because I'm guessing that Leon actually has that from the start, because one thing that shows up on the gun is like a 1+ sometimes with the default gun. It shows up like a 1+. So it's that you have 1 extra bullet. And maybe that's part of the handgun thing. Or maybe that's just something that naturally is in the default handgun. You know, 1 extra bullet. And stuff that Leon is just like, oh, he has like a reserve bullet or whatever, you know, and stuff that. Because that could be interesting, you know, of course. The question is though, how many unique upgrades are there going to be, how many weapons, because I've always said that, so that it was strange in the original game how the last gun, which is based on the, I forgot what it was based on. I think it's the Heckler & Koch USP, right, that the Blacktail is based on. And the Blacktail basically, the Blacktail is like, you get it at the very beginning of the castle, and then after that there are no more handguns. Same thing with the, okay, sure, you get the Magnum, you get the Killer 7 pretty early on the island. So I think you get it at the very first shop on the island before you even enter the complex, or it's the first shop after you're inside the complex, like the labs and stuff that, so yeah. It might be at that point. And then of course the sniper, you get the last sniper, the semi-auto sniper in the beginning of the castle in the original game. I find a shotgun of course you get when you go down into the pit before you fight the alien dude. And stuff that. Before, you know, like when Ramon Salazar starts to kill you and you use like hook shot and stuff that. And stuff, and that's when you get the final shotgun. So it's really like, you know, because I mean, like I've said, like the result of stuff that they could add. I have like a whole thing where I talked about like the handguns, like buffs that they could do to different weapons, you know, and stuff that, like, you know. And then I thought about charms, like, oh, what if there was like a classic charm that had like bonus damage to old weapons, so like bolt action rifle, Chicago Tire Blast, the regular shotgun, Killer 7, Broken Butterfly, Red 9, you know. Like, how insane are the charms gonna be? Because, right, there's the thing, right, that was the beauty of the original game, like, you could basically play through it anytime, any way you wanted, even on like standard it could, but of course the main thing was doing challenge runs on pro, and then being like, oh, in this challenge run I'm using this gun, or I'm doing this, or I'm handicapping myself this way, or oh, I don't have a handgun, I only have a TMP, oh, I have this, and you don't want to stop that. And then it's basically like, oh, how do you want to play? Like, do you want to have like the strongest sniper and stuff that? But yeah, it's just like, yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. Also, the way the costumes work is that the costumes work kind of how in RE2 basically, even if you get to a certain point in the game where, oh no, Leon is damaged and he has this bandage, you can still just select the other costume with his original RPD costume, or you can just select that RPD costume before you got damaged, and then you can look that way even though Leon is damaged at that point. I hope the same will be true for the jacket, so that you can go to the entire game if you want to with the jacket. I also hope that there will be costumes that have the built-in effects, because they are very clearly shown at one point in the game from one of the trailers. You can clearly see that he has the Kevlar vest, or the assault vest, what do you call it, which was only buyable on normal and easy difficulty in the original game. But I don't remember, sometimes it's not showing up on normal difficulty, and I'm guessing that is if you do well enough and it changes into pro difficulty or whatever. But yeah, but on pro difficulty basically you of course don't get that function, and the RPD has the built-in function of the assault vest, and of course the quote-unquote the Mafia costume doesn't have anything special with it, but actually automatically when you have that costume she has the Knight costume, aka Smashly, which makes her completely invincible, which you can also abuse. For example, you can use weight and then her regenerator, and then the regenerator just goes up and hit Ashley over and over, and they can just stand back, snipe. You can just stand back, just like you don't have to worry about the regenerator attacking you, because it's just gonna attack Ashley over and over. You know, she's completely invincible. You can even have her get hit by certain vehicles, I believe. Although I haven't tried it at the whole, like, when you get, because basically the vehicle that comes after you when you shoot it, basically, which is basically after you leave the village, you of course get a lot of coin from that thing, and it's actually possible to kill all the villagers that quote-unquote chases after you. That's actually possible to do, which can be pretty good sometimes, you know. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I do think though that it seems very, very weird with how short it is that they chase you. The longest chase that I've gotten is when I didn't go into certain areas, kinda, because it seems like the chase timer or the timer don't start until you get discovered, so you want to try and pick up as much as possible. Now I don't know if they have made it so that their treasures don't show up, or that the communications with Hunt again are not all in, because there's only been one conversation with her so far. And maybe there are just less conversation with her, but it kind of looks like you can have like a radio or like a log or whatever of the radio messages. So I'm guessing maybe they don't show you all the radio messages that you are supposed to have with her, like in the demo and stuff, that, because that would be like spoiler, like, oh, maybe there is, you know, because that's what I think, at least, you know, that it seems that there is going to be more. The funny thing is, of course, the TMP is fully upgraded, which means that it's kind of slaps. But it's also a bit worrying, right? Because that means that the TMP is severely nerfed. If it only has like 50 as its maximum capacity. Now, it could just be a demo thing, of course, that but it means like 3 upgrades and then it only has like 50. Or maybe it wasn't the capacity that was upgraded, maybe it was just the other stats. But it seems weird, right? Because, right, yeah. Or maybe it's the exclusive that brings up like the magazine on a lot of the weapons and stuff there, but yeah. It's gonna be really interesting though with the handguns to see like, is the Prancer gonna be back? How the side quest gonna work? You know, because I'm definitely gonna probably be farming money and stuff that on the first playthrough. Although, I mean, you cannot carry the money over or like if you beat it on normal, you cannot go into like pro and start with a Chicago typewriter, for example, and stuff like that. Right, because you always have to start, like you cannot go into like a new game or like a new game plus and then just change the difficulty if you play through normal. And so there you cannot play through like pro and stuff like that. So you have to like start all over again on pro is what you have to do. Of course, if you're speedrunning and you already have a fight where you're beaten pro, then you can of course speedrun through pro with other weapons and stuff like that, yeah. But yeah. So yeah, anyway, that's actually gonna about to do it. I want to talk actually more properly about it and stuff that at a later point. I definitely want to talk more about it and stuff there because I mean it is coming out on Friday next week. There's also been auto spoilers, as I said in the previous video as well. You know that there has been quite a lot shown in the game. And it definitely seemed quite interesting with the whole how you can kind of like crowns and stuff that. And that it seems to be a parry also as well. Also the knife seems like really powerful, like used to kill regular enemies or used to, you know, stun them if they grab you and stuff there, but yeah. The question is that how many knives are gonna be, because in the demo course if you find the TMP you remove everything before you enter the village, and then there's a thing you're actually meant to go to the right side, because basically there's gonna be like a thing that you can go into, like a what do you call it, like a well that's normally closed, but when it's completely empty you can go down there and then you can get a lot of TMP bullets and stuff like that. But I never got to use the TMP the first time around because I couldn't find the area because I didn't know in what direction to go and stuff that's yeah. Because, you know, because I figured like, oh, my knife is broken anyway at that point because I tried to use the knife as much as possible. Oh, my knife is broken. Oh, I have some handgun ammo left, but then I thought like, let's just remove it and let's see how long we can survive without any weapons. That's what I thought, you know, so I removed absolutely everything from the inventory and stuff that, because I thought like, okay, it's impossible to survive here without like any weapons and stuff that, like what if you get into that situation, you know, or like a challenge run, like not use the knife or whatever, you know. Right, because you can do that like in the original, you know, you can survive long enough without actually killing anything and stuff that, which, you know, can save you a shit ton of bullets and stuff that. That's the thing, right? Because normally, like, if you want to kill them in this thing, then the only thing you should be using really is grenades and not use about many bullets. Because if you manage to kill a bunch of enemies, like flash grenade, hand grenade, the thing you want to see the most is not money, but you want to see ammo. And it's actually on pro difficulty, it's actually worth restarting that section until you get good amount of drops. But you want to basically shoot maybe once or twice with the gun just to make sure enough enemies are chasing you, and then you basically want to stun all enemies, grenade them. If you have already one grenade at that point, or maybe 2 grenades, if you're really lucky, so that you have 2 grenades and you kill a lot of enemies and you happen to get ammo, then it becomes so much easier. So yeah. But yeah. This coffee is so good. I made it really, really strong, by the way, but yeah. So yeah, I'm actually very, very excited, you know. There's actually been one time when I managed to get a game early at one point where I could play it early, but then of course what you're always told is do not connect it online because then they can actually ban you, like Sony can actually ban you or whatever if they detect that you're playing like a game too early, because you're not allowed to do that. So yeah, so never play online, you know, and stuff like that, but yeah. And it was with a certain game that I was able to do that and stuff like that back in the day. And technically I did get trophies in the game. I think it had trophies, right? Or maybe it didn't have trophies. I forgot if it was one of those games, because basically trophies weren't introduced from the beginning with the PlayStation 3. It didn't happen until like the Uncharted game. The first Uncharted, that's when trophies first came introduced. Which was always a bit weird, but yeah. So. And it feels a bit weird that they never continued like Resistance Fall, man. Like I played the first one, I played the second one, I forgot if they made a third one or whatever, but yeah. But I actually really liked the first one, even though the graphically it wasn't super impressive. It was just that it was a very interesting shooter that it felt like very, very different from pretty much all the other shooters. So that. Haze was also a bit interesting. Yes, sure, Haze wasn't the greatest, you know, whatever, you know, but it was pretty fun to just play through co-op and stuff like that, and that, you know, it was just very, very weird. But it was also something that could have become like really, really deep with the whole, if you would have been like have a choice to actually be on that side, to be on those soldier sides that had a modification, because those soldiers were of course strong and stuff like that, with the thing that they injected and stuff like that. So yeah, it was just like, yeah, it was pretty cool, so yeah. Anyway, that's gonna do it for the 15th of March 2023. So again, Friday next week, it's Wednesday now, so Friday next week is the release for the RE4 remake. I would almost hope that they would release another demo actually, because sure, the Chainsaw demo is cool and everything, but yeah, I know the Mercenaries won't be in from the start, so I'm not expecting them to do a Mercenaries demo. But I'm guessing, right, that if they're gonna release Mercenaries later, right, they're already working on it, right? Or maybe they already have it done, but they're gonna wait or whatever, I don't know. But just release a demo, like, just like one character or two characters, just village stage, so it's not even new content, right? Just the village area, boom, village area, Mercenaries, Leon and Ada, Leon and Ashley, Leon and Louise. We know Louise is gonna be in Mercenaries more, like, you not. It's just obvious Krause is gonna be there. Obviously Wesker is probably gonna be there as well. I mean, it would be just amazing if they it's a Wesker demo. And then it's the Wesker music from RE4 original. They have the original music playing instead in that demo, instead of the new music. Like, they don't spoil what the new music is, because the new music might be like a spoiler, so you can figure out about Wesker how he is. But yeah, but just, you know, because that would be the hypest shit ever, you know, like, and then like, who are trying to set the highest record, and then oh, get 5 stars, and you will keep those 5 stars in the full game. You know, most of that, so yeah. Yeah. Because it would just be cool to see that, because basically it would be the same stage, right? It would be that village area in that mercenary stage, so it wouldn't be like horn spoilers or whatever, you know. Sure, it would be like spoilers to weapons, because most likely Wesker would have a Magnum. He would have a handgun, would be the same handgun as Leon has, but with a silencer, or would it be a completely different handgun? You know, like, would he have his powers? You know. But I also hope that they make that the costumes be like different characters, like how they were in like RE5 Mercenaries mode. Because in RE5, like, there were differences between each version of Chris, different with each version of Sheva and stuff like that, so there was quite a lot of characters like that. Of course, certain characters only had like one costume, but it was mainly like Chris and Sheva that had like several costumes and stuff like that. But it's still like, imagine like Jacket Leon has like a certain setup, the other Leon has a certain setup and stuff like that, so you could have like the different costumes. And I hope that they could be like a playable Ashley as well, you know, stuff like that in Mercenaries mode eventually. But yeah, and then she would have her different costumes, you know. Yeah, night costume would be funny, yeah, you would be completely invincible, so then what would be the point? But maybe you would have to play in a different way to get like kills, or whatever, you know. Yeah, she would just punch stuff. No, her strategy would be make enemies grab her and then try to carry her away, and then she basically crushes enemies because they can literally die from lifting her up. I've seen that happen basically when you run with. Actually, if you leave her somewhere and you don't shoot at all, the enemies will eventually kill themselves. Because the enemies basically, when they try to carry her, and she's Night Ashley, because she's immune to damage, she's so heavy, so she makes them fall over, and she kind of falls on the enemy a bit, so she damages the enemy each time she does that. And yeah, and it can also kill plugs, I believe, as well, or it doesn't make any plug pop if they die that way. So yeah, because yeah, it is pretty funny, yeah. And in that place, you know, when you can get the elegant chessboard, I believe it is, when you know you have that trap room first, the spikes go down, and then you go into the other room, and it's the thing with the thing that you're normally meant to shoot them, and then the thing goes up, and then Ashley can run out. If you have Night Ashley, you can just leave her there. You don't even need to shoot them, waste a bullet. And you can just go and start looting the room, and then just Ashley gets hit, poof, by the super spiky spinny thing. And then nothing happens because she's Night Ashley. And I even think right in this section where she's driving the vehicle, right? Now the trucks that come behind you, those you need to shoot because those will hit Leon first. So Leon will die, even if Leon has full health. But I believe the one that comes from the front, that one, you can allow that one to hit you without getting game over, I believe. Because if that thing hits you and you have Night Ashley, then Night Ashley will take basically the force of the vehicle. Because it won't hit Leon. And stuff like that, because yeah. Or maybe it's just a game over anyway, even if you have Night Ashley. So then, but anyway, I'll see you all